Hello, everyone. My name is Rich Moscoso, Senior Pro AV Field Applications Engineer for Aver Pro AV. And today I want to discuss the auto tracking modes for the Pro AV cameras. If you're not familiar with our auto tracking cameras, we do have three auto tracking modes. One's called people tracking or person tracking, zone tracking, and hybrid. People tracking has a couple of cool features in it. One is that you can track upper body or full body, and all that means is that what we're trying to do is just have the camera focus on either mid thigh up or from head to toes. And in people tracking, I'll go ahead and enable that on the camera. I will turn the tracking on. I'm actually enabling the tracking from our CL01 camera controller. I'm in presenter mode. I know the tracking is enabled on the camera because the front of the camera there's a blue LED blinking every 2 seconds. That's a really good visual for whomever's in the room or the space to know that, hey, tracking's been enabled. So in presenter mode, it's really that mode where it's trying to, like you have a virtual camera operator, it's always trying to keep the person centered in the image. And let me fade over to here. Let me disable that and give you a fuller view. So this would be an example of what you would see on the call. This is always trying to keep that person centered. And in presenter mode, it will follow you wherever you go. If you sit down, it will follow you. If you stand up, it will follow you, etc. So this is an example of what presenter mode. There's also a function called auto zoom. You just notice it kind of zoomed in a little bit there. This is really useful if say you are writing, say at a whiteboard or something, and you make yourself larger, right? Because you're writing. What you should see happen here is that the camera will actually zoom out a little bit because, hey, you've maintained this position for more than, say, 4 seconds, and it says, hey, they're probably writing something, so then to make the whole experience more immersive, the camera zooms out. But now let's pretend I just made myself smaller by putting my hands down, and the camera automatically zooms in by itself because this is typically the point where the instructor wants to then speak to whomever's on the call and kind of make a point of what exactly they just wrote on the board. So that's another pretty cool thing, is that we have the ability to auto zoom, and that's selectable. You can either enable it or disable it, so it's all configurable. Our second mode is called zone tracking, and zone tracking is really cool in the sense that we'd use this for when content's more important. So let me pull up the web UI of the camera, kind of show you this. This is Chrome. I just, the camera's on the network, just type in the IP address of that camera, and it would actually give you the ability to log into all the camera settings. So if you look down here, it says tracking control. You have the ability to turn it on or off and then switch between the different modes. You can also switch between the different modes using the camera remote. Camera remote comes with each camera. But let's talk specifically with zone. This is when you want to use zone when content's more important. So you notice we can select up to 4 different blocks or 4 different zones, either 2, 3, or 4. It's totally configurable. And what we're doing is we're using presets 6, 7, 8, and 9 for this function. So those are special presets. So keep that in mind when we're creating these presets. And the idea is that you work from left to right. So I created a preset number 6 over here. And all I want is that, hey, when I walk to this area, I want the camera to do this. When I walk over here, I want the camera to come to this preset and just sit and stay. And then when I walk over here, I want the camera to do that. So that's what zone tracking is all about. And that's really useful when content's more important, right? So I'm going to go ahead and go to zone mode. I'll enable it. The camera automatically kicks back over to here because you notice we have this tracking point set to preset number 7. What this means is when the camera, if I were to walk out of the room, the camera kicks in a timer. This is in seconds. 4 seconds later, the camera is going to automatically come back to this position to start looking for someone. So this could be the hello, good morning shot. Let me fade over here real quick, give you a wider shot of that. Then as I transition over here, the camera automatically kicks over, it zooms out, uh, and it just stays here at this preset, right? As I'm writing, you can write what you need to write. It's just really useful when content's more important. But let's say I created a fourth preset. So let's say this, what I just wrote was a little difficult to see online or for that remote caller. I created this other preset that kind of zooms in for a tighter shot, right? So again, just keep in mind my head, neck, and shoulders need to be in the shot in order for this to happen. I walk back over here, the camera kicks back over to here, so I can continue with the discussion, do what I need to do, point out the 9 planets in our solar system, etc. As I transition over here, the camera kicks over to this preset number 7 that we had set up earlier, and then also over here, preset number 6, right? Again, content's more important. I can zoom in for a tighter shot. But let's pretend it's lunchtime and I go to lunch, right? So the camera doesn't see me anymore. That timer kicks in. The camera will automatically go back to that preset number 7 that we had set up earlier. I come back from lunch, it still sees me, and I can just pick up, right? The camera's still in auto tracking mode. It sees me, and then it'll just continue tracking that person, whoever arrived at this spot. So that's zone tracking. Hybrid is pretty cool in the sense that it combines both presenter and zone tracking. And again, we use different presets, 10, 11, 12, and 13 for this function. But in my space, I'm only going to use 2. I'm only going to use 10 and 11 because it's 13 feet wide. I don't have a lot of space in here. But the idea is that you want to transition between, say, zone and presenter all by itself. And that's what hybrid's all about. So I'll go ahead and hit hybrid. So you'll notice that I'm in a spot in the room that does not look like preset 10 or preset 11 because I want that camera to follow me. So if I were to sit down, it'll follow me. If I stand up, it'll follow me. But notice when I walk over towards that whiteboard or that interactive flat panel, the camera just kicks to a preset, right? And I can walk anywhere within here to do, what I need to do or point out what I need to point out. But as soon as I transition out of this space, right, it automatically goes back into that presenter mode, right? It'll just follow me wherever I go. And then notice when I do, let me fade over here so you get a wider shot in hybrid mode. When I walk over here by this art, the camera will snap to that preset number 10 that I had set up earlier, right? So I can talk about what I need to talk about. I can walk anywhere within here and the camera will just sit at this preset. But as soon as I transition out, it'll automatically go back into that presenter mode. This is cool because you don't need to look for a camera remote or anything for this to transition. And that's what hybrid's all about. I just wanted to create a quick video to kind of cover those 3 auto tracking modes. Thank you.